Soyez les bienvenus, chers téléspectateurs, dans l'interview d'Africa 24. Nous recevons un invité qui s'exprime en langue anglaise. Nous allons donc réaliser cette interview en anglais. Symerre Johnson, you are Head of Partnerships and Resource Mobilization at the NEPAD agency. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So this interview will start after you reading the first question here.
All right.
Let's start, please.
Is NEPAD really achieving its goal, fulfilling the gap between Africa and the developed countries?
Do you have that feeling?
Yes, I do have that feeling. We are actually implementing concrete projects that is benefiting the African countries on the ground. Specifically, if we look at infrastructure, our work following the Dakar Financing Summit, which was organized by the Senegalese government under the leadership of President Macky Sall. It brought together development banks, multilateral institutions, the African Union Commission, of course ourselves, NEPAD agency, and other partners, to look at how do we fast-track a number of infrastructure projects. Specifically, 16 projects we're taking to Dakar. And we found out that financing is not really the problem. The problem is we need to prepare these projects better so that we can attract the necessary financing. So yes, we are doing a lot. In terms of agriculture, we have done a lot on the CADAP, which is the Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Program. We are encouraging countries to spend more on agriculture so that we can have better yields. We just came out from the Gender in Agriculture conference where more women are being involved in agriculture and agribusiness. Also before Dakar, we had the e-schools program, which brought a lot of e-learning across Africa. The NEPAD Gender Spanish Fund gave a lot of grants to small women-based organizations to do concrete projects in their countries, and this is well documented and known. In terms
well documented maybe, but known, maybe the communication around NEPAD is not working as much, as good as you would like to.
Well, I think it's always difficult to concretely communicate at the country level what NEPAD's doing, because NEPAD is an agency, works with the regional economic communities and countries, and it's the countries that implement these projects. And usually when a NEPAD project is being implemented on the ground, it's the country that's implementing it. So the regular African or the usual African person will find it very difficult to understand that this is a NEPAD project because it's the country that's actually implementing it. So we try.
They will not know it.
They will not know in certain circumstances. So we try as best as we can to communicate what we are doing, but it seems as if we are communicating mostly at the continental level. And at the country level, it's as we just said, it's very difficult for someone to understand that this is actually a NEPAD-led initiative or a NEPAD program, and they're also benefiting from the work of NEPAD.
But how is it working? Are you, NEPAD, going to the countries, proposing your help, or are the countries coming to you and asking you for your help?
Well, we work on a number of continental frameworks. In agriculture, we have CADAP. In infrastructure, we have PIDA. In science and technology, we have STISA. And in environment, we have the EAP and human development, CAP, and so forth. So there are a number of frameworks. These are continental frameworks that countries agree to. So under those frameworks, we implement a number of projects that are implemented at the country level. So it's the countries that take ownership of a project. So if we look at infrastructure, we look at a road project, it will be a country that will organize itself, one or two countries, if it's a transboundary project, take ownership of it and get NEPAD to drive the process and coordinate it.
Next question,
sure.
Please.
Why has NEPAD chosen to act in only 6 fields?
Actually, it's 5 fields. Am I right?
Well, it's 5 thematic areas plus 3 cross-cutting themes.
Why did you choose that 5 specific areas?
Well, for various reasons. As you know, the continent is transforming. We have various needs, but we came together and put together a strategic plan which will run us to the end of 2017. And in our strategic plan, we decided that we are going to focus on 5 main areas and 3 cross-cutting themes, and the 5 main areas will focuses on infrastructure and regional integration, and I've talked a bit about what we're doing in PIDA, agriculture and food security, I've mentioned CADP, human development, that has to do with health, education, and so forth, and then we're looking at corporate and economic governance, and then in the 3 cross-cutting themes, we're looking at gender, we're looking at communications and capacity development, and these crosses right across the 5 themes that I mentioned. I did not mention the work we're doing in natural resource governance and the environment, which is also a very important theme for the African continent.
But there are so many important themes in Africa. Why those in particular? Well,
for various reasons. One being that Africa is transforming, and the transformation process, of course, needs better infrastructure, and we need a better human development process that needs to accompany the transformation. Agriculture is very fundamental. Most of African people live, benefit, and really are part of the agricultural development process. So it's very important that we improve on agriculture. Climate change is a global issue, is affecting Africa. So the themes...
For example, climate change. How can you have an impact about the situation that Africa is facing right now?
Well, in terms of climate change, we're doing a lot of work. We're actually linking our work in climate smart agriculture. We also part of the climate talks process, making sure that Africa builds a consensus, and we did that very well when we looked at the post-MDGs, where NEPAD creates the necessary enabling environment for Africa to speak with one voice. We hope to replicate it throughout the climate change discussions.
Yes, but speaking with one voice or 54, Africa is still not heard.
Well, it's a matter of opinion. We tend to believe that together with the African Union Commission, we have consistently created that platform where we can bring in all stakeholders to speak with one voice. And as I've said, we've done it in the development talks all the way to Busan. We want to replicate that. But these are the soft issues that we're working on. The harder issues that we're working on.
This is a capital issue.
Of course it is. But the harder issues we're working on really are on infrastructure. And we've demonstrated very well. We mentioned the Dakar Financing Summit. And now we are moving towards making sure that these projects are properly financed and properly packaged for financing.
I have in my hands the last question, the
Sure.
joker question. What about, sir, the African peer review mechanism that is not, as many Africans can say, working for now?
It is working. Incidentally, my Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Ibrahim Hassan Mayaki, is now also serving as acting CEO of the Africa Peer Review Mechanism, APRM Secretariat. And he is now in the process of restructuring and making sure that internally they're well organized to continue doing work. So there is a bit of restructuring happening in-house at the secretariat level. But if we look at the work that the APRM has done over the years, we need to commend them, because this is the only tool that is found in Africa, led by Africans, and is being driven by Africans. There's no other continent in the world that has a mechanism where heads of state can sit together and challenge each other, can discuss openly on what is happening in their specific countries.
You said if we look at what has been done, but when we look at it, we look at nothing. What has been done to change governance, for example, in the countries that are participating to it?
I think most countries that went through the review process will say that yes, the APRM has allowed civil society to participate in a process.
Really?
They can also attest to the fact that faith-based organizations have been part of the process. I don't speak for any specific country, but I can recall over the years I've sat in
It means that you don't have any specific argument or example.
Well, I don't want to go into the specificities of it.
You can if you want to.
Well, for various reasons. I will rather say that the APRM is a very unique tool. is a tool that is very specific to Africa.
But that is not working in Africa.
Well, it is working. I think it's a matter of opinion.
Take one example, South Africa or other countries.
Well, I think the APRM is unique. Of course, in as much as you have eminent persons, some of which are former heads of state, coming together and reviewing a country, the review process is open. I mean, under the APR, where you have the panel of eminent persons together with heads of state tabling a report and inviting other sitting presidents to actually input into that report. So I think it's very unique for Africa. It
but when the review is negative, what is the impact, for example?
There have been a lot of work that has been done, mostly by civil society institutions and organizations, to see whether the countries reviewed and the recommendations made have been corrected. Unfortunately, I'm not privy to that information, but I will want to believe that most countries have actually taken these recommendations and have implemented them.
But thank you, Mr. Symerre Gray-Johnson.
Thank you.
You are Head of Partnerships and Resource Mobilization at the NEPAD Agency.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Merci à vous, chers téléspectateurs. C'était l'interview d'Africa 24. À bientôt.